final passage reads, "On that fated land, a great war shall transpire. Darkness will prevail, and light expire. This world is full of light. It's a world comprised of many smaller worlds, all connected, stretching as far as the eye can see. One great light protects us all. All worlds share one light, one fate." I take it you're talking about Kingdom Hearts.
Yep.
In ancient times, people believed that light was a gift from an unseen land by the name of Kingdom Hearts. But Kingdom Hearts was safeguarded by its counterpart, the Keyblade. Warriors vied for that precious light, thus beginning the Keyblade War. All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear. Sounds like your trip around the world opened your eyes, but you got a little bit more than you anticipated. You must have seen a lot of darkness. So you're saying the weak feel the need to justify their actions to maintain a sense of self. You can't let that slide. I suppose letting false light dictate the future might be a pretty lousy move. So, you can make a change. You have that power. What do you want for the world? You believe the world needs you. Sounds like you already know where you're headed. If you truly possess great power, the darkness can't control you.
All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
Why not just sit back and watch it play out?
All of this was decided.
May your heart be your guiding key. Who are you really? Some kind of fortune teller? Well, I could lie, tell you that's what I am, when I'm actually a brilliant artist, even a scholar. I could tell you that I dream of world peace, when I'm actually planning for its destruction. The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
Why not just sit back and watch it play out?
All of this was decided.
May your heart be your guiding key. May your heart be your guiding key.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We've got another great episode lined up for all of you. Some new news dropping in the Kingdom Hearts world about a potential mistranslation in Union Cross that honestly, if true, which I have every reason to believe it is, will change the way we see the Kingdom Hearts series forever. That also said, on top of that, we're going to be talking a lot about the anti-black coat. Came up quite a bit on the last episode. Figured it's time we revisit it on another episode. And on top of that, I do want to touch on a small theory that I've observed between the two KH4 trailers that I didn't really get to talk about much on the last episode. But before we dive into that, let's give some love to our early birds. We got the Good Witch Luz. We've got Loro Bluebell. We've got Lavinxa Lady. We've got Eesor, Vitrin, Kyle Toth, Patari, Dr. Big Boy Barrett. We've got Exic Breeze, Silver Dash, Larks86, Vitrin. I think I shouted you out, but you get another one. How about that? And Hyrule Falcone. Good to see you all here. And a shout out to Artist Joint 32 months a member on the channel. And speaking opposites, dropping in here at the last second for the early bird shout out as well. All right. So look, before we talk about the mistranslation, before we talk about anti-black coat, there is something that I've observed from the first two trailers that I definitely think is worth discussing. Yo, shout out to Speaking Opposites, who just became a junior sage here on the channel. Thank you very much for that, Speaking Opposites. Welcome to the squad. Welcome to the madness that is this live chat on a Kingdom Hearts episode. I see you out there, Zeb the King. I see you out there, Kid Q. We got some of the legends, some of the goats of the Landy Lodge chat here. Okay, so look, let's talk about this. Let's first bring it to the first trailer. I think the first trailer might help make my point the best. Let's pull it up to right about where they hit the porch. Or rather the deck. Which, geez, what that must cost you. So look, there's something I want to point out. Something that's very prevalent in the first trailer and that you can see at different times in the second trailer. Now, I think what we're going to talk about is only going to apply to the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 4. But I do think we're being shown something that can shine a light on how that game is going to start, in particular for Sora. So, again, as we know, Sora translates to sky. That's sort of the element that follows him and follows his namesake. There's just something about this sort of intro segment in Quadratum they keep showing us, right? The sort of intro segment where Sora finally wakes up, Darkseid appears in the city, he's got to fight Darkseid and, defend the city folk. There's one thing, before I get into my observation, there's one thing we've talked about, and perhaps I'll let it flow a little bit. We never see Sora smile in either one of these trailers at any moment. Now, we never see him necessarily frown or be sad. We see some anger, we see some determination, we see some grit, but we never see Sora smile, which of course is very uncharacteristic of him. Even in the tough times, he's able to smile. As you know from Kingdom Hearts 1, no sad face, right? This was something that was sort of not beat into him, but something that he's been able to manifest on his journey, as he always seems to find a reason to smile, a way to make somebody else smile. But when we look at both, when we look at both of these trailers, he never smiles once. Not once. And again, we've seen this trailer, down to the ending. But even if we go through very quickly, any scene Sora appears in the new trailer, right? Like when he's doing battle here, no smile, no glee, no joy, none of that, for lack of a better term, shonen/Disney wonder that we're so used to getting from Sora. Again, even here, where he appears with Xehanort, no smile. I think this is his sad face arc. I mean, that's kind of what we're walking into here. But again, you can go through either trailer and down to the final moment, you will never see a smile on Sora's face. Now, when the first trailer dropped, I didn't make a lot of that. Because when the first trailer dropped and so much of it was surrounding sort of this opening mission, and it was a very small window into Kingdom Hearts 4 first trailer, I didn't want to make too much of it. But I couldn't help going through the second trailer and seeing that it was true all over again. Sora never smiles. Now, what I wanted to point out, because it's not true for every part of the trailer, but to me it is true for every part of the trailer that seems to show us a window into the opening segment. And it seems like in the opening segment, the skies are overcast. You'll notice it all throughout the first trailer. It's why I'm pausing this right here. And I'll bring it back. And you can see that throughout the whole first trailer, the skies are overcast. It's not a clear blue sky. It's not a stormy sky. So there's a storm coming sort of vibe to it. It's very overcast, which is like a combination between a sunny day and a stormy day or a very cloudy day. So again, you don't have a lot of direct sunlight. You don't have that blue-like sky that we associate with Sora, Destiny Islands, the final world. That bright blue day sky is in a lot of ways symbolic of Sora. Again, you see it with Destiny Islands, you see it in the final world, But as we get to this world of fiction here in unreality, again, keeping it isolated at this opening segment, this seems to be something that resolves itself within KH4 and within Quadratum based on the second trailer. But again, everything letting a window into this opening segment shows us this overcast sky. Now, I'm not going to argue that there's some kind of existential reason for that like the sky is Sora's mood ring, and however he feels, the sky is going to reflect. But I do think that you shouldn't shy away from thinking about Nomura using the sky deliberately in that way, especially with Yuzora being Night Sky, their battle in the Night Sky final world. I think a message is being sent here. And again, not that there's a direct link, but in the sense that Sora is not smiling. He's lost that sort of wonder. He's lost that sort of charm. And the skies, to me, are reflecting that. It's not a despair-like sky. You can see that there's sun, right? But it's overcast, that bright blue sky. If you could recall the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer, the first one we saw, where he's on Destiny Islands and he picks up the Keyblade. Blue sky. You know, that's not here. Now, again, if we go to the second trailer, right, you could see behind Ava, there's a blue sky, right? You could see behind Ava, it's a blue sky. But the second we transition to this sort of opening segment, right, here comes Darkseid, now suddenly the skies are overcast. Right? Now suddenly, look, the skies are overcast. They were blue a second ago, but now Darkseid appears and we've got these overcast skies. The curtains can be blue for a reason. Well, look, speaking opposites, I love that you said that because you know what? Sometimes, guys, in fact, a lot of the times, the curtains are just blue. The curtains are, you know, I got blue curtains. I almost pulled the camera to show it, but I probably would have yanked it right out of the computer. Let's not do that. But a lot of the times, the curtains are just blue. But these aren't curtains. This is the sky. This is our main protagonist's name. So if there's a character named Curtain and the curtains are blue, there's a reason the curtains are blue. So what I'm saying is when there's a character named Sky and the skies are overcast, I think there's a little bit more that we can look into that as opposed to, are the curtains blue? That whole conversation. So let's keep this going. Because I want to keep showing, right? To be fair, see this whole opening segment, right? Whole opening segment with Darkseid, we have these overcast skies. But the second we start fighting in the streets, you can start to see the skies start to clear up, right? You could see right there. So it is something that will resolve itself maybe after you beat Darkseid. You know, now that that darkness has been temporarily quelled, the skies can clear. But it was just something that I found, again, very interesting. By the way, shout out to the 104 building in the back. Very interesting that, again, every time we see this opening segment where we're not seeing Sora smile, we're getting this sort of overcast sky that might have an overlapping representation with that story beat. Because, again, Nomura needs a reason, and this is something he deserves a lot of credit for, but I know a lot of people are spinning their heads about for Kingdom Hearts 4. Nomura always has a reason to reset Sora back to level 1. In KH2, it's because he needed his memories restored. You know what I'm saying? He needed his memories restored, so in a sense, he had to start from level 1 again. You know, in KH3, it was because of the end of Dream Drop Distance, because he failed the Mark of Mastery exam. In a sense, it reset him to level 1 for KH3. For KH4, who knows what Nomura is cooking up? Because he you know, it could just simply be as a consequence of the power of waking. Sora's lost all his power and he needs to regain it. That could be a really cool story beat too. So we'll see. Let's check what the chat is saying. Twilight skies, not storm, not clear, complex. Exactly. Oh no, not Curtain Nort. Yeah, exactly. Beware, Curtain Nort. For the darkness. Andy, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Random thought. What's the sky like in the KH3 Caribbean world? That is a good question. Let me take a quick look into that. I can pull that up pretty quickly. But let's just type in. I feel like the sky shifted around quite a bit. I feel like the skies shifted around quite a little bit. Here, perfect. Let's pull this up. And let's just skip around a little bit and see what we find. Okay. Now let's... Know something? I think I have the right one up. Yes, I do. Okay. Let's shrink this down a little bit. So it looks like we have overcast in this opening scene, right? A little bit of overcast. Let's skip ahead. Similar. These are a little bit bluer. I think you can make an argument for much bluer skies there. I think it's overall shifting. I don't think there's any consistent thread as far as the Caribbean goes. But it does look like... Yeah, no, here it's bright and blue. So I'm not seeing a consistent thread. But good question. Good question. Okay. I'm already half curtain. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Marvin says, do you believe Dark Chirithy will return in KH4? You know, we're going to talk about Dark Chirithy today. I have a little theory about Dark Chirithy, or an idea, I should say. We'll see if it becomes a theory. That's what's funny, right? The last few episodes, I've brought a lot of theory larvae to the chat, and we've turned them into cocoons and butterflies since then. If you've been here, I suppose you know what I'm talking about. If you're new, I must sound absolutely crazy. Okay. Ain't got shit to smile about anymore. I mean, yeah, if there was a time for Sora not to smile, I suppose now would be that time. Okay. But yeah, you guys see my point there, that overall, it seems like in that opening segment in Kingdom Hearts 4, they're showing us an overcast sky combined with a Sora that hasn't smiled yet. I, just knowing Nomura, feel as though there's going to be a connection threaded between those two. Do I think it'll be anything sort of major? Not so much. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see in Quadratum the sky respond to Sora in certain ways. But maybe it's not even Sora it's responding to. It could be Yozora it's responding to. But it's a daytime sky, so I'm inclined to think that it's Sora. But anyway, with that said, let's move on to our next segment. One that I think is going to send all of our heads spinning. One that I think is, if true, and the only reason I'm going to say if true is because I don't speak Japanese. So I can't say if this translation is accurate compared to the original. That said, and I'm not saying this to be a downer, there have been crucial translation issues throughout the Kingdom Hearts series. Crucial. Let me name a couple from KH3 just to start. For one, Xehanort's final speech. In the English dub, he says, "An empty world, pure and bright." And the choice of words is concerning and important because that choice of words, pure and bright, a lot of people, especially those who were more casually engaging with the series, thought that led them to believe that Xehanort was fighting for the light all along. He was fighting for the light to make a world that was pure and bright, when the Japanese translation says, "an empty world, pure and blank," which goes into what he was saying before that line, that he wanted to reset the world and essentially rule from on high, a pure blank slate where he could control the future. Much more in line with what he had to say. There's a big difference between pure and blank and pure and bright. Massive difference, especially in the context of Xehanort. Another one that I point out a lot. After Kairi saved all of the Guardians, when she sort of explains how she did it and her and Sora are sort of flying in that realm between realms, Sora turns to Kairi in the dub and says, "I feel strong with you, Kairi," to which she like blushes a little bit. That's fine and all, but I think the Japanese line is infinitely better. "You're strong after all, Kairi." That makes the moment about Kairi instead of making the moment about Sora like they did in the English version. So when he says, "You're strong after all, Kairi," what that's signaling not only to Kairi, but to us, the gamer, and us, the viewer, the spectator, the player, is that Kairi's strength is not measured in the Keyblade. It's measured in what she accomplished right there. And that's what that difference between "you're strong after all, Kairi," and "I feel strong with you, Kairi." Again, just those two examples show you how Kairi and Xehanort's characters have been misunderstood just for a change in a single line. A single line can carry so much weight. So much weight. And I think both Xehanort and Kairi would have been better received if there was a direct translation from the Japanese version. I'm going to leave it at that. Let's jump into the chat, and then we'll jump into this translation thing. The Evil Germ says, "Thanks for all the Kingdom Hearts content. It is my absolute pleasure." But thank you. Let's see. Bright was a terrible word choice for a series about light and darkness. That's kind of what I mean is, and I understand, look, people got to do the work. Maybe whoever translated it isn't very familiar with the context, so it was easy for them to get it wrong. Rural Neptune, good to see you, man. Thanks for dropping in here. Appreciate your kind words. You're strong after all, Kyrie, is way better. I'm not trying to like harp on it too much, but there's stuff like that all over the Kingdom Hearts series, where characters like Kyrie and Xehanort, based on the Japanese script, are contextualized in much stronger ways. Gerd Digikaiser says, Ayo, hi, I love your theorizing. Well, I'm glad you're here to join with us in said theorizing, because what I'm about to pull up right now, I think is going to change the way we see things for a long time. So let's pump this up. Shout out to Tumblr for still existing somehow. And I say that with nothing but good things to say about Tumblr. But let's give a shout out to Stunned Swallow, who 4 days ago dropped this bomb on the Kingdom Hearts community, that the Child of Destiny was first name dropped in Union Cross, but the English localization missed this. Now, you know what? I usually say when I take a break to take a sip of something, let's take a swig for the hardworking men and women of Square Enix. I still mean that from the bottom of my heart. But today, we're giving it all to Stunned Swallow. Let's take a swig for the Stunned Swallow in bringing us what might be some of the best theory fodder you could ask for. Wait, is Stunned Swallow in the chat? Really? Spinac, are you just saying that? Or are you Stunned Swallow? Because if you are here, I do have the link to your post in the description. I want to give you your flowers, give your credit due. If this really you here, you're more than welcome here. We would love to have someone like you around who could better translate some of these mistakes. I'll tell you that. We would love to have someone like you around. But let's get into it. Let's get into it here. Stunned Swallow, who may or may not be in the chat, says, I came to the unfortunate realization I am Stunned Swallow. Well, hey, everybody. Can we get some love? Can we get some love for Stunned Swallow in the chat, please? Can we get some love for Stunned Swallow? These are let me tell you something. These are the fans that make Kingdom Hearts one of the best fan base communities to be a part of. They are an example of the passion and hard work people will literally do on behalf of this series. But we're glad you're here, Stunned Swallow. If I misrepresent anything you're writing here or don't quite get the point, do not be afraid to tell me I'm wrong. You can ask chat. I tell chat all the time. Tell me when I'm wrong. Tell me when I'm wrong. Okay. Let's run this. Stunned Swallow says, I came to the unfortunate realization that there was a massive translation fumble in Union Cross last year. In the English version of the cutscene confrontation, we're only informed that Darkness believed it was decided that Ventus would harbor Darkness via the Book of Prophecies. Let me read that again slowly to let it... Landy loves being corrected. I do! I really do. I really do. I'd rather be wrong and corrected, you know what I mean? Anyway, you get the point. I try to put my ego aside. Try, keyword. I'm only human. In the English version of the cutscene confrontation, we're only informed that Darkness believed it was decided that Ventus would harbor Darkness via the Book of Prophecies. Here we have some screenshots. Who, then? Because it was decided. Using that same language, ladies and gentlemen. What was? That he would harbor Darkness. Your vessel was chosen? Yes. It was written in the Book of Prophecies. So, that's the English version. However, this is not the only information provided in the Japanese version. The Japanese version. Here's the Japanese version for comparison. It is mostly the same until the last text box, but I'll include everything for a 1-1 comparison. I know some Japanese, around N3 level, so I'm not trying to claim I can translate perfectly, but I did cross-check with a machine translator. First, why did you choose Ven? Because it was decided. What was? That he is/will be an existence that harbors darkness. Does that mean Darkness's vessel was decided? That's right. The Child of Destiny is written in the Book of Prophecies. The final line in the Japanese version says, "The child of destiny is written in the book of prophecies." Now, before we dive deeper into this translation and try to uncover this a little more, does this mean Ventus is the child of destiny? Not necessarily, but it means that's the plan. Excuse me. Remember, Xehanort was supposed to be the child. You know what's funny, actually? One second. You know, maybe I'll wait till I flesh it out a little more before we get into it further. But the child of destiny is written in the book of prophecies. So what that tells us, again, we're not going to jump to the conclusion that Ventus is the child of destiny. But what we can say is that darkness believes that he is. That darkness is under the impression that Ventus is the child of destiny. So, what are we going to do with that, chat? What are we going to do with that? But before we decide, let's give some love to Josh Z with a $5 super chat. My man says, Kingdom Hearts visually does not compensate for poor localization the way FF7 does. So much of the depth of Sora and Kairi's relationship is lost in English. And you know what? I have my issues with the FF7 translations too. A lot of stuff between Zack and Aerith gets lost in the translation. But you're not wrong, Josh. And again, just that one line that we went over. Instead of "I feel strong with you, Kairi," "You're strong after all, Kairi," carries so much weight. But you know something, Josh Z? A lot of love to you, my man. Thank you for that $5 super chat. So, let's go. Let's flesh this out a little further. Let's get to the end here. And then I'll start telling you guys what my brain is spinning on. For the record, these symbols is the official term used to refer to the child of destiny in Dark Road 2. It is the name of the final cutscene of Dark Road when toddler Xehanort is talking to the blue-robed player. I think the true implication of the scene is that darkness believes that Ventus is the child of destiny, having read the Book of Prophecies, and that they should target him as their vessel as a result. In my opinion, this is huge oversight and is detrimental to the understanding of the story. They're correct. We North American players were led to believe that the Child of Destiny plot point was introduced in Dark Road, when it was teased all the way back in Union Cross all along. It also justifies why Darkness targeted Ventus even more. It tells us more about the Darkness's motives going forward. I hope, if Union Cross is ever recreated, that this story gets translated more carefully. It is a very complex, interconnected narrative that is intermingled with the future of the series. And I think what they so eloquently point out too is that, you know, choice of words is very important in the Kingdom Hearts series. The choice of words is very deliberate and important. And again, a term like Child of Destiny, which is a term now, thanks to Dark Road, every Kingdom Hearts fan is familiar with. But as they so eloquently pointed out here, this was a term that was supposed to be introduced to us way back in Union Cross. So what are you seeing here? Union Cross, they're telling you Ventus is the Child of Destiny. Dark Road, they're telling you Xehanort is the Child of Destiny. I'm willing to bet that Missing Link had its own Child of Destiny, and that there perhaps might be a more modern one as well. Who knows? There's a lot of directions that we could take this. But what we know is, in the Union Cross era, Darkness's interpretation of the events and the Book of Prophecies is that Ventus is the Child of Destiny, that heart of pure light. Now, hear me out for a second here. Let's pull a little something up. I want to pull a little something up, see if I could find this. I may have to go to Birth by Sleep cutscenes, which, if I must, I must. If I must, I must. Okay. Birth by Sleep cutscenes, because it's definitely something I want to pull up in light of this. So bear with me, chat. Who thinks Vanitas will be back? I do. I'm a believer that Vanitas is coming back. I think Dark Road alluded to that quite deliberately. And again, maybe he won't come back in as recognizable a way as we think, but nonetheless, I do believe we do see Mr. Vanitas back. So, okay, let's figure something out here. Just want to pull a little something up from Birth by Sleep that I think has been completely recontextualized. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Let's pull this back. Size it down, and I can show you guys what's up. So, let this play for a second. I think I'll get the shot I'm looking for. We'll see. Hang with me here, chat. Okay, I'm trying to get a good shot to leave in the backdrop while I talk about this. Okay, I think this could do. Let's take it from the beginning of the scene. Okay? So, we got another super chat. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give some love over to I'm not quite sure I know how to say Cartney, but SMC Cartney, who says, "You're my favorite Kingdom Hearts theorist on YouTube. I finally caught your live stream for once. Keep up the amazing work. You have inspired my own work." Well, let me tell you something. I tell people this all the time. Comments like that, SMC, really do keep me going. That inspires me to keep doing this. That's all I could ask for. I really appreciate the $5 super chat. But what I appreciate even more is your kind words and that you really enjoy what it is we're doing here. So just know comments like that really go a long way for me. And support like that is always appreciated but never expected. So a lot of love to you, Cartney. I do really appreciate that. Okay, let's keep this rolling. And by the way, if I'm your favorite theorist, that means me and chat are your favorite theorist. So, this is an interesting scene. I was hoping that we could get a shot of Xehanort and Ventus, but this is probably the best we could do. So, now that we have this context, okay? Take a look at what we're looking at right here. We're looking at what Union Cross told us was the Child of Destiny, and what Dark Road told us was the Child of Destiny. On Destiny Islands. I'll repeat myself one more time, just for dramatic effect. Repetition's the hammer of knowledge. We have the Child of Destiny that Union Cross told us, and the Child of Destiny that Dark Road told us, here on Destiny Islands. Now, this information is still new to me, so I'm still in real time here trying to think what to make of it now that we know that Xehanort is not the only Child of Destiny, but Ventus is too. So the question becomes, right, is there going to be one Child of Destiny and everyone's trying to figure out who it is? Or are there going to be children of Destiny? Are there going to be multiple children of Destiny that have to go up against the 13 darknesses? Or go up against the true darknesses? Is that where we're headed? Where technically both Ventus and Xehanort are a Child of Destiny, and that they will be destined to go into Quadratum and clash with true darkness? Is that the angle, that there's going to be multiple children of Destiny? Or is the angle that there's one Child of Destiny and that there's, in a sense, some sort of spiritual tug of war going on over who it's going to be? The darkness thinks it's going to be Ventus. Scala and Kylan thinks it's going to be Xehanort. Did Missing Link Scala think it was going to be Brain or Player? Does Destiny Islands thinks it's Sora? Are Sora, Riku, and Kairi all children of Destiny? This opens up a whole can of worms. And I'm trying to look for something that can help me figure out which one of those two angles is going to be more likely. Do we have a collection, Children of Destiny, or is there really going to be one Child of Destiny? Right? Let's fly back over here for a second. Where is... Oh, okay, it is in here. Okay, let's flip back to over here, right? Ventus may not be from Destiny Islands, but he is essentially reborn there. See, Destiny Islands is interesting, right? Because it feels like everyone You know what's actually interesting to think about? Who is born on Destiny Islands? Because Kairi wasn't. Ventus wasn't. Xehanort wasn't. Right? There's a lot of people coming to Destiny Islands who weren't born there. I think Riku is probably the only one we can safely say is born there. Maybe Sora. But that's interesting to think about, too, that a lot of people seem to be making their stop at Destiny Islands, right? Xehanort, Player, Ventus, Kyrie, you know? Lots of characters. So I'm starting to wonder if maybe Children of Destiny is the angle. And that's what Destiny Islands might be about. Children of Destiny. And that maybe everyone who's made that stop on Destiny Islands is going to be a child of Destiny. So let's differentiate, right? Because technically Terra and Aqua also made it to Destiny Islands. So is the question, are you like raised there, sent there? Can you just visit there? We got to figure out what the fine line is. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to Ruta Chris with a $5 super chat. My man says, Dark Road localization error of Dark Lord. Said the child was from Destiny Islands. I think Xehanort is falsely guessed by player with the context. True. So again, Child of Destiny, Destiny Islands. There's obviously going to be a connection between that. So let's think about it like this, right? Let's see if we can land on the number 7 or 13. That's going to be the key, right? If we can land on either 7 or 13 for this Children of Destiny, we might be onto something. So Destiny Islands, Sora, Riku, Kyrie, Ven, Xehanort. I'm tempted to put player, but we don't see player in modern times, so I just want to hold on that. We've got 5. Sora, Riku, Kyrie, Ventus, Xehanort. Now, there might be player, if we consider that. But consider this. And you guys let me know if I'm missing somebody. We've got those 5. If we add Terra and Aqua, we land on 7. And what you get is the Birth by Sleep trio, the Destiny trio, Xehanort. There's something about that might work as a pack of 7. You know what I'm saying? If you discount player, which we're going to recalibrate and consider player, but first let's just think about it like that. Because that's kind of a neat 7 of anyone who has been to Destiny Islands. Ruta Chris, let's keep it to Keyblade wielders. Keyblade wielders that have been to Destiny Islands at one point or another. Right? So that we can put, much as I love Tita, Swaka, and Selfie, we could put them to the side. Keyblade wielders. So again, Sora, Riku, Kyrie, Xehanort, Terra, Aqua, Ven. That's a nice, neat 7. Only problem is player. Now again, if we go with the theory we talked about on the last show, that player could be connected to Sora, or could be the Sora's third life, that would keep that intact. But the only issue is, let's consider player, as he is now, his own independent character. Now we have 8. Now we have 8 Keyblade wielders. But you know what? I'm going to pull this back a little. I'm actually going to pull this back a little. I'm going to knock Terra and Aqua out of this. Because technically at the end of KH3, they all have been on Destiny Islands. I think what we actually need to focus on is whose destiny is tied to Destiny Islands. So let's knock Terra and Aqua out. And now that leaves us with 6. Sora, Riku, Kyrie, Ventus, Xehanort, player. What that tells me, if these really are our Children of Destiny, there's a 7th. There's a 7th that we don't know yet. Right? So if we use Terra and if we use Terra and Aqua and remove player, it gives us a neat 7. But that would require discounting player, and I don't think that's going to fly unless we see that he did like merge with Sora in some sense. So let's take that, right? Sora, Riku, Kyrie. Xehanort, Ventus, player. Now there's a 7th. Who is the 7th child of Destiny to come to Destiny Islands? In truth, I don't think we have anything to make that decision. I think Missing Link was probably going to help us. But again, we can't think of a 7th character whose destiny is directly tied to Destiny Islands in the way those other 6 were. So, Ruta Chris is theorizing here. 7 characters related to Sora's heart. Player, Sora, Ventus, Roxas, Shion, Naminé. And player twice. Maybe. But now I want to propose something different. Ventus could be the child of Destiny. But what's interesting to me is that, Union Cross happened first. So if we did get a correct translation, we were told that Ventus is the child of destiny in Union Cross. Then we're told Xehanort is the child of destiny in Dark Road. So if this isn't about finding a denomination of 7 or 13 for children of destiny, to me this means that all signs point to Sora. And I know that's like the simplest. What about Vanitas? I don't know if we can tie Vanitas to Destiny Islands the way the others can be. I don't know if we can be, because I don't think Destiny Islands is as necessary on his journey as the other ones are. Shion visited the island on a mission. Shion did visit. That's where she kind of had her confrontation with Riku as well. Sora, Riku, Kairi, Xehanort, Ven, player. Okay. Then I'm going to say those who lived on Destiny Islands. Started to think the Child of Destiny is both Sora and Kairi. It's going to be it's going to be 3, 7, or 13. Actually, I'll Child of Destiny is either going to be 1 person, 3 people, 7 people, or 13 people. So Sora and Kairi as a 1-2 punch, I don't think work. I think you need a third, or you got to go 7, or you got like 1, 3, 7, 13. Those are the numbers, right? Those are like the mathematical code of Kingdom Hearts. 1, 3, 7, 13. So we'll have to think about that. Vanitas was extracted. Oh, Lego Brick, you're right. I should just let the scene play. Oh my God, wait. Vanitas was born on Destiny Islands. Hold the phone. Okay, put on the sound. All right, let's do this. Put on the sound. We get to watch a scene. Let's see something. I imagine you will be... Okay. Oh my... Wait. How have we never revisited this scene? I'm losing it right now, actually. Hold on. Hang with me, chat. Hang with me. We're going to go line for line on this. He was created in the Badlands. Why did I think it was here? It was Badlands? It was the Badlands. Okay. Wait, reread my message. Maybe I read it wrong. Vanitas was extracted from Ventus in the Keyblade Graveyard, so on the lines of Destiny Islands, Vanitas doesn't make sense. Okay. I don't know why I thought it was here. I got that mixed up. But the Keyblade Graveyard. So remove Vanitas. Vanitas isn't going to fly. Vanitas will not fly. But there is something interesting here. How long have we been live? 40 minutes. Wow, it's already been 40 minutes. Are you serious? Oh God, we haven't even touched the anti-black coat. All right. Hang with me here, guys. Check this out.
There, you see.
An empty world. Pure and blank. And it's funny that to him, like an empty world, like a prison, this was foreshadowing to his dialogue in KH3. An empty world, pure and blank, which Sora interpreted to be like a prison. No, you're not trying to save the world. You're trying to create a prison where you're the warden. So that's an interesting foreshadowing.
Like a prison. I imagine you will be right at home. Interesting to say that on Destiny Islands to a child of destiny, quite like Ventus. Keep it going. And the white coat like Strelitzia. And he struck down Strelitzia. Keep it going. Hold on. And that's where it ends. Eyes closed, goes to sleep. Okay. So some interesting foreshadowing there, honestly. I don't think that scene gets enough credit for how much foreshadowing was wrapped up in those few seconds. That was pretty good. Okay. Let's take it back. Okay.
So, I guess, because I definitely want to talk about anti-black coat, I don't want to harp on this for too long. But ultimately, I think it blows. And you know what? I'll pause. Let's pull up the article again, or rather the Tumblr post. I think what this does, though, thanks to our friend of the show, Stunned Swallow, this blows the entire Child of Destiny conversation wide open. Because I thought, yo, what's up, Lance? I thought for the longest time Child of Destiny would be singular. And I still think it probably is, but this idea, so like again, just to recap it before we move on to anti-black coat, just to recap it a little bit. Union Cross deliberately tells us Ventus is the Child of Destiny from Darkness's perspective. Then it goes on in Dark Road to tell us Xehanort is the Child of Destiny from Scala's perspective. So the question again becomes, and thanks to Stun Swallow for blowing this conversation wide open, are they telling us that there are multiple Children of Destiny, or are they telling us that whoever can find the Child of Destiny will win the conflict? 7 crowns. Maybe it is connected to the 7 crowns, though I'm not sure it will be. A black coat sends a white coat to retrieve a letter they lost. I think he was speaking more in terms of metaphor, Luke Sword. I don't think he was talking about Xehanort and Ventus, but that is an interesting point to bring up. What if there's a Child of Destiny in each age? Ooh! Like one of each age, and this current one could be Sora. See, now we're cooking a little bit. You're right. Daybreak Town's Child of... Maybe there's a Child of Destiny for every Keyblade War. Maybe there's something like that. Maybe it's something like that. That Daybreak Town had its Child of Destiny. Scala Ed Kylum had its Child of Destiny. And maybe now, with Sora, we have another Child of Destiny. Because it'd be hard for me to think Sora's not a Child of Destiny. I wonder if Master of Masters was the Child of Destiny of his era. There we go. There we go. I wonder if Master of Masters was the Child of Destiny of his era. That's a good idea. It could be something like that. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, would love to keep harping on that. But I did say we would talk some anti-black coat today. So I want to pivot to anti-black coat. Laurel Bluebell, I think I saw you in the pre-roll, said you had an idea you wanted to share about anti-black coat. Do you have the Child of Destiny scene from Dark Road on hand? I could pull it up. But I have to be honest, I do want to get to, because we're already 45 minutes deep, I do want to pull up anti-black coat, get this out, and then we could sort of break into an open conversation about these theories. But you know what? I'm starting to see that maybe I should, maybe episodes need to only have 1, maybe 2 topics, because I'm seeing how much we can expand on them. But let's get into anti-black coat. You guys were asking me for it last week. Let's just let it roll a little bit. I'm not going to play the sound, but we'll have it roll in the background. Okay, and let's fix this resolution. Now, there's so many different directions we could take this, right? And I'll wait till he's maybe on screen before I make any parallels. But we talked about, and I guess it'll be important to maybe mention that, we talked about sort of the symbolism, right? And, I like to look at Kingdom Hearts characters as if they are mythological, because Nomura and Nojima, they write like myth. They write their stories like their mythologies. And you need to look no further than Sora means sky, Riku means land, Kairi means sea. Same for Terra, Aqua, and Ven. You know what I mean? You're seeing that every character has like an element or a symbol, whether it's sky, sea, land, star, sun, a time. Everybody has this element, this mythological element that they get to be associated with. This is how Nomura and Nojima typically write. And one thing that really stands out to me, And give me a second. Do a little swig here. Do a little swig here. For Stun Swallow and their hard work. "45 minutes no code on the code episode is the most Landy Lodge thing ever." I mean, we go hard, homeboy. What can I say? We go hard, homeboy. All right. Excuse me. All right. So, as I was saying, there's always sort of this elemental association. They seem to be taking this a step further. We went over it in the last episode, where Riku is a Dream Eater, Kairi is a Chirithy Dream Eater, Yuzora has a red eye like a nightmare, which might coincide making Sora a dream. If Yuzora is a nightmare, Sora is a dream. Let's not go too hard on that, and more settle into Riku, not just with land, now has this sort of mythological association with Dream Eater. Same thing goes for Kairi, whether you're looking at the ears on the hood or her scenes with Chirithy, she now has that sort of emblematic association with Chirithy and Chirithys. And then when you consider that both Riku and Kairi have protected Sora in his sleep throughout the whole series. So you're seeing that association with sleep, Dream Eater, Chirithy, protecting Sora. And this will be a part of our anti-black coat conversation because you can't ignore the red eyes. You can't ignore the red eyes. And that Yuzora has a red eye. And that typically is trying to signal nightmare. Typically, right? It's trying to signal nightmare. Now, let's keep this rolling. Let's keep this rolling until anti-black coat shows up. And it's interesting, remember, that he's showing up as Sora is dreaming. Like if you look, it's almost like as Sora is sleeping, this nightmare is being conjured, right? You could see it. You see it. Let's actually pull that back. Like, it's directly shown to you. Like, you're seeing it swirl around Sora, and through Sora, it's being conjured. So, like, again, very clear visual representation there. And maybe I should put the sound on. No, we'll leave it. We'll let him appear. Give us let me see those red eyes, boy. Let me see those red eyes. That'd be a good frame to stop on. Okay. So again, this is and I saw somebody, by the way, in my comments tried to share an image with me that showed a side view of anti-black coat that shows his nose, but the link didn't work. If anybody can pull that up, I'd be happy to show it on screen. Because then that could confirm to us that this is a form being and not a formless being. Okay. Okay, I want to read this chat from Elias Corp. Says, or there could be no Child of Destiny and it's a bait to trick darkness. Like when player in K Union Cross tricks darkness, the black and white coats. Yeah, okay, I see. I pick it up what you're putting down. I could see it maybe working that way. But going into anti-black coat. What's the black mage from FF? Oh, you're talking about Vivi. We're talking about Vivi. Excuse me. That would be Vivi. But let's talk about anti-black coat here. So, a lot of people, in my opinion, would benefit from going back to Dream Drop Distance. Dream Drop Distance is one of those games where the more familiar you are with it, the better Kingdom Hearts 3 is. That said, this renewed focus on dreams, right? Not just sleep. Sleep and dreams were always a big deal in Kingdom Hearts, but by introducing Dream Eaters and Nightmares, you've introduced this whole new element to Kingdom Hearts that only seems to be getting more and more prevalent as time goes on. Now, consider what the Master told us in back cover, right? Where he showed us the Chirithy as he was making it in like the little flask and how if one's heart falls to darkness, they could be turned into a nightmare. So it's interesting to me that at least in the Kingdom Hearts world, and let me pause on that for a minute, is that like nightmares chronologically are one of the first adversaries introduced. You know what I'm saying? And there's plenty, more than just the Heartless, right? You have Nobodies, you have Unversed. But chronologically speaking, nightmares really came before a lot of the other lore. Not if you go by release order, but if you go by the series chronology, nightmares are some of the oldest adversaries Keyblade wielders have. Now, given that they showed us in back cover, and let me see if I may or may not have that to pull up. Okay, say that for another time. But again, when you consider that, especially something like back cover, which only had 40 minutes of cutscenes to get its point across, one of the biggest scenes in that little mini movie is showing us the master introducing the concept of nightmares. What that signals to me is that whatever the master's plan is, nightmares are a crucial part of it. Because they wouldn't have the master be the one to introduce this concept to the foretellers if it wasn't going to be a major part of his plans in the future. Speaking of which, let's give some love and a shout out to Dom Rock 5363. Says the one sky, Sora and Yozora as the nightmare in dreams of Kingdom Hearts, as the one experiencing itself through the players and characters, fighting itself indefinitely until peace. Interesting. One sky, one destiny. Destiny. So, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. This is a little shot in the dark. By the way, Dom Rock, a lot of love to you. Really appreciate that super chat. The one sky, one destiny. Maybe Yozora is a child of destiny too. And maybe we wouldn't be surprised if we found out one day that Yozora made a stop at Destiny Islands. Who knows? But we'll find out. Wow, Dream Drop Distance came out 14 years ago, longer than KH1. Yeah, it's a big time gap, isn't it? But let's also consider, right, that this nightmare seemingly came from Sora. Right? I want to play that back as we get back into Anti-Blackcoat here. You can see that directly. You know? The nightmares are created when a Chirithy's owner falls to darkness. So, and that's typically what we're seeing happen here in Dream Drop Distance, right? Is Sora is chasing the dreams to the point he sort of becomes hollow. You know, Yozora being a child of destiny is interesting if Nameless Star is the girl at the end of KH1's Another Side, Another Story. Hey, listen, Xander and I talked about that one years ago. That, you know, it could be Kairi. It looks like Kairi, but it's a little bit different than we're used to. But also consider this. And I know this retreads some of what we talked about with Yozora. Because when I look at Anti-Blackcoat, right? When I look at Anti-Blackcoat, the first ones to come into mind are Nightmare Chirithy, right? Nightmare Chirithy and Yozora. These are the two characters that come to mind immediately. And I put Vanitas in the thumbnail to demonstrate that, remember, when you see a yellow eye, that's darkness. But when you see a red eye, that's a nightmare. So when I see Anti-Blackcoat, the first two names to come to mind are Yozora and Dark Chirithy. Now, I don't think we're looking at Yozora. That's going to go out on a limb and say Anti-Blackcoat and Yozora are not the same person, but maybe they're connected. Because again, what's very peculiar is Yozora having that red eye. But not just that he has one blue eye and one red eye. And what could that mean? Does that mean that he has some of a nightmare in him? Does that mean there's multiples of people in him? Who knows? Hang tight 1 second. Okay. Destiny Islands is a tourist visit thing in Quadratum. There are signs in Remind, so technically Yozora could visit there. It is on the other side of reality, though, so I think that might just be some fun overlap. I don't know if that's going to be legitimately the Destiny Islands, but we'll see. So what I want to try and thread here is, because I don't think this will be connected to Yozora. I think Yozora's got a nightmare in him. But here we go, Andy. I think this has a connection to Dark Chirithy. Because like Andy said, Dark Chirithy's last words in Union Cross were, "See you in another dream." And here in Dream Drop Distance, and you got to remember that those two, Dream Drop Distance and Union Cross, in terms of when they were written, are very on top of each other as far as the Kingdom Hearts series goes. So again, when I'm looking at this anti-black coat and Dark Chirithy saying to us, see you in another dream, this happening in dream drop distance, it seemingly being conjured from Sora's dream and him being lost in the dreams and chasing the dreams, I cannot help but think that this has some connection to Dark Chirithy. Maybe it is him directly, and he's able to create this sort of humanoid form because he's threading himself through Sora. But again, I think what this shows us is there's this dormant darkness within Sora. And it's manifesting in different ways, whether it's dark side, whether it's this anti-black coat nightmare. I'm almost wondering if there's a connection between the two. Personally, I'm feeling like this is foreshadowing to Yozora. But then you'd have to make some connection between Sora right now and Yozora. Okay, Suko, I'm going to hear you out for a second. Actually, Suko, I'm going to hear you out for a second. Hear me out. Yozora's interactions with Sora and Riku are always in dreams. Again, we talked about this in the last episode about why he's a nightmare, or it could be symbolically a nightmare. But hear me out. His interactions with Sora were in his dreams. He dreamt of that interaction with Sora. His interaction with Riku is in Riku's dreams. So what that shows you is that Yozora, whoever he is, whatever he is, he can interact with people in his sleep, and he seemingly can interact with you in your sleep. Again, this is one of the things that led us to Nightmare, right? It's just one of the things that led us down that road. So knowing that, and knowing that he was conjured from Sora's dream, it's very possible that if you apply that lore to this moment, that it does give Yozora the chance to interface with Sora by nature of him being asleep and dreaming. The problem is, Sora has been asleep a lot. Sora has dreamt a lot. And there's no other sort of indication until we get here. Which almost makes me wonder, was the point of Dream Drop Distance, and remember, right, Xehanort's doing his thing, but the master is the chess player. Was the purpose of Dream Drop Distance to put Sora in this position to make him susceptible to something like this? You know what I'm saying? Is there anything else in its attack patterns? You know what, then we'll let it roll so that you guys, along with me, can maybe pick something up. Are you what's trapping him in the nightmare? Nah, bitch, he is. And you see, they show you. Yeah, you see? I don't know why. I'm feeling like this is more likely the Dark Chirithy. I want to believe it's Yozora because I loved Versus 13 as much as anybody. But to me, I think this is the Dark Chirithy. I think this is connected to Dark Chirithy, for lack of a better term. I think it's connected to him in some way. Okay. Laurel Bluebell says, worth noting the Nightmare Chirithy's monster form has fur that shapes like a hood over the head. Okay. Let's do this. Oh. Let's pull you back up. Okay. It's got the same eyes. Obviously, it's a nightmare. You know, this is a good point, actually. Because, see these tendrils and the color scheme? There's a match. Yeah, I got you just in time, Laurel. I got you just in time. This is interesting, actually. Because I'm seeing a pattern overlay that's similar. You know? Obviously the red eyes, but that's a given. And like you said, Laurel, if you look at the design, this hood forms. And again, when I look at what's going on here on the sleeves, along with this, I'm seeing a match. And it could just be Nightmare and Darkness color scheme. But, you know, I thought about Anti-Black Coat for a while leading into this episode. And as much as I want to make everything about Yozora, because I just love the character, I feel as though there's something with Dark Chirithy coming on here. You know what I'm saying? Color scheme is 1-to-1, 1-to-1. And again, what Laurel pointed out, he didn't just morph into a monster. He morphed into a monster with a hood. He formed into a monster with a hood. I like what Andy pointed out, that the ears do look similar to Ava's fox ears. Could be something like that. And I guess the question is, also, Chirithis have their Dream Eater symbol on their back, but just like Riku and Anti-Blackcoat. Though with the monster form, the symbol morphs to the front for whatever reason. I guess because the Nightmare's taken full hold. Maybe it's something like that. In the same way that like a Dream Eater, right? Hold on. 1 second. Let's pull him up. Let's pull up our boy. Actually. Interesting. Yeah. I think I could figure that out, actually. I think I have an answer for that. So, I think that when you take the full form of Dream Eater or Nightmare, that's when the symbol comes to the front. And maybe that's why Chirith's Dream Eater symbol's on the back. Because when it's on the back, it's like you're in control. You know, you're still you. But if the Dream Eater symbol or the Nightmare symbol come to the front, it's like you've lost control. You've fully become that thing. And that's why Riku's Dream Eater symbol is on his back. That's why Chirith's Dream Eater symbol is on his back. Because they haven't fully morphed the same way a Meow Wow might have. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a $2 super chat from the Queen of the Glitch Kingdom herself. This is Black Coat, Red Eyes. That's Mothman. Thank you for dropping in here, Glitch Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're following Glitch Kingdom. Big friend of the show. Make sure you're watching. My boy Laurel says, wait, no, before I be right back. And I hope you're good, Sid. I hope you're good. The Dream Eater symbol protect the wielder's heart. Interesting. So would the Nightmare symbol be doing the same thing technically? Would the Nightmare symbol technically be doing the same thing? That's what I want to know. Because here's the bridge. Okay, we have to bridge the gap. Okay, I want to believe this, but we have to bridge the gap. Dark Chirithi appeared in Union Cross, said, see you in another dream. If this is indeed him, this would make sense that he would show up in Dream Drop Distance as a result of Sora's dream. But here's the problem. That's a long gap of time for Dark Chirithi not to be really doing anything. I don't want to say that, or for him to not show himself. Laurel Bluebell says, Union Cross finale says the Chirithis protect the wielder's hearts so they can be awakened later. And okay, you know, at first I almost went the opposite way, but I'm like, wait, the Nightmare is a dark Chirithi. So if a Chirithi, which is a Dream Eater, protects the wielder's heart, then a Nightmare, a dark Chirithi that's a Nightmare, perhaps devours one's heart? That's what I'm led to believe or think. But when I look at this, I'm seeing the overlap. But I need point A to point B. How did Dark Chirithi get from Union Cross into Sora's heart, mind, light, soul? I need to bridge that gap. Because again, this Nightmare was conjured from Sora. If this truly is the Dark Chirithi, how do we get from point A to point B? How do we get from the Dark Chirithi in Union Cross to this being Dark Chirithi in Dream Drop Distance? That's what we need to figure out. That's what this idea is missing right now. Okay. Give me a second. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to run to the little Keyblade Wielder's room. We're going to keep this party going, make no mistake. But I'm going to run to the little Keyblade Wielder's room. And then we will keep this party going. Okay, thank you for hanging, guys. Let that be a reminder to stay hydrated. Stay well fueled up. You know, I've been doing a pretty good job muting myself while I take a sip. All right. Yeah, let me pat myself on the back here. Okay. Let's catch up here. Let's see what you guys are on. Ven's Chirithi stays in the final world, which is connected to Death's sleep. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, that would bridge the gap. Oh, I'll get on that more in a second. Let's catch up. When Nightmare Chirithy goes into the monster form, it does so by absorbing the Darklings around it. Darklings are fallen Keyblade wielders. That's why the symbol moves to the front of the design. Ooh. So it's like a devourer, the Dark Chirithy. My goodness. So it simply stayed in the dreams. Okay, so let me follow that, Vitrin. Ven's Chirithy stays in the final world, which is connected to death and sleep. So it simply stayed in the dreams. Hold on, yeah, that bridges the gap. So check it out, Okay, that might be how the Nightmare Chirithy got there. Hold on, let's go through that again. Ven's Chirithy stayed in the final world, which is not only connected to death and sleep, but is also connected to Sora. But Ven's Chirithy stays in the final world, connected to death and sleep. As you're saying, so it's simply the nightmare, the Dark Chirithy, simply stayed in the dreams until Ven and Sora's hearts were connected, allowing the nightmare to take hold, to find a new home, to manifest in this way. So there it is. That's how this could work. That's how the Nightmare Chirithy could get from Daybreak Town all the way to Sora. Check out the design of the Nightmare Cybug, says my man Ruda Chris with a $2 super chat. Let's check that out. The Nightmare Cybug. Okay, you know, I'm starting to become a believer. Nightmare Cybug. Let's see why you're having us look at this. Okay, I've got it pulled up. I'm not quite sure why we're looking at it yet. If you want to maybe explain yourself, Rudacris. Rudacris, like ludicrous. I get it now. Took me a second. Okay. If Sora is the player, it would make sense since the Dark Chirithy was the player's nightmare. Which again, like I'm saying, it would explain the connection between player and Sora that I feel like we've been orbiting for a while now. Hold on, let's get you back pulled up. There we go. We've been orbiting that for a while now. I think it's more so player's nightmare staying in his dreams nightmare. Okay, so if not Ven's, and it's player's nightmare, and then we go back to what we were saying before, there would have to be a connection between player and Sora, but I just believe there is. Now, again, I want to choose my words a little more carefully and not directly say that Sora is the player or Sora is the player's third life, but let's be just a little bit more charitable and say there's a connection between Sora and the player, right? Doesn't have to be his third life, but there could be a connection between Sora and the player. And that connection could be what threads this Dark Chirithy to Sora. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Nightmare Chirithy we know is players, right? Not Ven's. That's what I believe we know. Ventus's Chirithy went to the final world when darkness possessed him. You know, I don't know when the Chirithy went to the final world. That's a good question. We can say there's a connection. Yeah, there's definitely a connection. Because remember, I think one of the more obscure but strong points made on the last episode was, you know, the summons in KH3 are all listed as Sora's friends. Yet he's able to summon Wreck-It Ralph, but player was the one who met Wreck-It Ralph. Like, there's tons of these little things to thread them together, but when I think about something like that, you know? Interesting. Soup to Kratos, or Soup to Carrots, says, why do the anti-black coat sleeve shapes look like flowers, though? Let's see. Nightmare Chirithy says his partner is closer than you think. That's about all we know. So maybe player. Okay, so it is vague. It could be Ventus. It could be player. Could be somebody else. I really hope that Sora isn't the player, says Andy Brew. I like Sora as his own character. Maybe the player somehow ended up in Sora's heart, the Sora Heart Hotel is always expanding. Yeah, I don't think that would keep, again, I don't think that would keep Player or Sora from being his own character. What's up, Andy Brew? But, you know, unfortunately, we won't know because of Missing Link, but I don't think Player in Missing Link and Player in Union Cross were the same exact character. You know? And if you go to the end of Union Cross, they do mention that players or Keyblade wielders are given a choice, right? They can like reincarnate again, or they can like meld into someone's heart. I do think it's possible that Player, in a sense, went up and joined with Sora's heart. I think Sora is Sora. I don't think Sora is like the Player traveling through time or something. I think he's still Sora, you know? But it's possible that Player linked up with him in some way. Because again, like Andy, you got to think about it, man. Like the ephemer scene. You know, the ephemer scene in KH3 needs some help. Him reuniting with Xehanort. The meta narrative of us, the player. You know what I'm saying? But again, that Nightmare Chirithy, I think Player is probably the best guess, but it could be Ventus's. But either way, I think it still applies here. Because with Ventus, we know the obvious connections to Sora, and I'm sorry, the Player character will have some connection with Sora. Like, again, if we go back to KH3, the light of the past, he's riding all these Keyblades that are technically like the Player. You know what I mean? The names of all those Keyblades during the Keyblade War that helped them out in the Keyblade Graveyard, all those names, all those Keyblades were technically Player. You know what I'm trying to say? And Ephemer, on behalf of Sora, was able to like summon that light of the past. So to me, there's a strong connection, in my opinion, between Sora and the Player. And I don't think that makes Sora not his own character. I think there's a way those two can be thread together, that Sora is his own man. But let's be honest, Player was never his own character. Because Player could look like me, or he could look like you, or he could look like Rosie O'Donnell. There's no end to the canon visuals that the Player is. And again, when you consider that Union Cross had all of these players, the light of the past didn't just settle on one player. It was all of us. And then in a sense, I think all of us now are with Sora. I think that's the meta narrative they're trying to string, right? We have our own Player character in Union Cross. We have our own Player character in Missing Link. But by the time the Kingdom Hearts story starts, all of us players need to be threaded into Sora in one way or another, because he's our Player character now. So, again, that's sort of my approach to that. I think it keeps Sora his own character, but I think it connects us with Sora. Because who is Player, right? Player is us. That's literally it. Like, Player is us. Plain and simple. And depending on what you chose to make your character look like, that's Player. So I think the only way that this can remain canon, right? Because you saw it in Dark Road, right? They kept Player under the blue hood. It's like he can't have an appearance, because that would just break lore if you gave Player a canonical appearance per se. And I know the Missing Link trailers kind of played with that a little bit, but ultimately speaking, there is no canon Player name, no canon Player appearance. Ultimately, in my opinion, whether Union Cross or Missing Link, all of that has to thread into Sora at some point. And again, the light of the past scene, Ephemer showing up, the list of the Keyblade names. I think it might be self-evident. I have the Nightmare Cybug. Let me pull up the Cybug. Someone tell me why we're looking at the Cybug. I'm being told bring up the Cybug. What am I looking for? Oh, wait a second. Okay, you know, sometimes I should just listen to you guys. I see resemblance. I did like what Laurel had us pull up before. Actually, maybe I could put them both side by side. That might be pretty cool. Let me see. Come on now. Come on. Okay. Remember how Shion's visage changed based on who observed her? What if something similar happened with our players? I don't think so, because Shion is that way because she was created. You know, she was sort of created that way. Player is different. We are player, we play as Sora. But that's what I mean, right? If we go through the meta narrative, player has to thread into Sora at some point. Right? Guys, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't, okay, so think about it like this, right? Think about it like this. If you were to do like a KH4 cutscene that involved player, are they really going to call him player? You know? Or are they going to do something where it's like player is within Sora? Sora is carrying the player legacy within him. Who knows? Maybe Sora has a Chirithy, and maybe that Chirithy's player. Just spitballing. I don't think so. But you get my point. Well, Lego Brick, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I see you asking, can someone explain how nightmares become full monsters? Because I think that explains anti-Blackcoat's appearance. Let's take this back just a little bit. There's a key point that they're deliberately showing you, right? So we mentioned that Riku has the Dream Eater symbol on the back, but the actual Dream Eaters, like the Meow Wows, they have the symbol on the front. One second. I got a cough. Don't want to cough into the mic. Compare that to Chirithy, right? Chirithy has the symbol on the back. So there's sort of this idea that if you are this, if you have not succumbed to a Dream Eater form, you can wear the Dream Eater symbol on the back. But once you succumb to that form, the Dream Eater symbol comes to the front. Similar with Nightmares, because look at what they show us with Anti-Blackcoat. It's on his back. Unlike the Nightmares, who I'll pull up, right? If you look at the Nightmare monsters, theirs is on the front. His is right here. Can we find you? Where is yours? Honestly, actually, I don't think you could say that about the Cybug. I don't see it. I'm looking for it, but I can't even confirm it's on the back or not. Compare Anti-Coat to Anti-Aqua. I don't think we need to. I think Anti-Coat has red eyes. Anti-Aqua has yellow eyes. One is a reflection of Nightmare. The other is a reflection of darkness. Now, again, he has the Nightmare symbol. Give me 1 second now. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. This might be interesting. Let's pull up our boy, right? Let's pull him up. Let's pull him up. Actually, I have a better way of doing this. There we go. Okay, let's pull up our boy. Okay. And then let's get this as well. So, interesting that for the Dark Chirithy, is there a way we could see if the symbol is on his back? Right? Because, as we pointed out, this is what I keep trying to show, right? If we look at Chirithy, the Dream Eater symbol, oh, let's pull him over here. You can see right here, the Dream Eater symbol's on his back. Like I was saying, just like Riku. Like if you don't succumb to the full form, you keep the symbol on your back. That's why I think if we look at Nightmare Chirithy, he's probably the same. The symbol's on his back. But when you succumb to the form, the symbol comes to the front, seemingly. So I just find that interesting. Alrighty. Let's pull this up over here. Perfect. Okay. It be under the cape. Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's under the cape. Had a couple messages on the Twitch side. Let's go check it out. Let's go check it out. Right here. Perfect. My man Loro says, ooh, we got a lengthy one here, boys and girls. To quote Chirithy at the end of Union Cross, we are connected to the hearts of you Keyblade wielders. When your hearts fade, so too do we. When you fall asleep, we become something that can protect you in the meantime. Also unintended with this message, but the last line just made me realize a potential similarity to the armored Ventus Nightmare, which tried to protect Sora's heart with armor and got nightmared. Nightmare Chirithy. Wouldn't it be wild if it was Master of Masters Chirithy? They even act alike with their aloofness. Kind of reminds me of Brain's Chirithy and how he interacts with Brain. Wait. No. Wait. Guys. Hold on. Oh, wait. Maybe I'm tripping. Okay? Maybe I'm tripping. You guys let me know if I'm tripping. Let me pull this up real quick. Maybe. What if? Hold on, wait. I think I'm onto something. It wouldn't be a Landy Lodge episode if we didn't talk about Lushu. What if the Nightmare Chirithy is simply Lushu's? Right? So, someone in Daybreak Town had to fall to darkness, right? If Lushu is indeed the traitor, right? I know about the hair theory, Laurel. I wasn't even going to go down that road. I've seen people say, oh, look, his hair looks like a Chirithy's. It's not that similar. I'm not going to go that far yet. I'm going to go the opposite direction with this. Wait. I might be really tripping. I might be really tripping. Hear me out. So what if the Nightmare Chirithy actually belongs to Lushu? Because let's be honest, when it comes to Dream Drop Distance, Lushu is one of the main characters kind of poking and prodding and tampering with Sora. Same thing goes for KH3. So, guys, what if there's a red eye under that? You know what's interesting? We don't talk about what could be under this. What if there's a different color eye under that eye patch? You know what I'm saying? What if there's a different color eye under that eye patch? What if it's blue or red? For whatever reason, like I know there's a thing with, what happened to him in Birth by Sleep. I know that there's a canon reason that the eye patch is there, but what if he's hiding something? And like, again, Lushu is the traitor. If we're going to go through Union Cross, I know everyone has all of these theories. Who's the traitor? I think it's kind of simple. I think Lushu is the traitor. The one who bears the sigil. Lushu's the only one with X in his name. And we've talked about, this is why everyone in Organization 13 ended up a traitor. Because everyone in Organization 13 had the X in their name, and in one way or another, they betrayed the organization or their fellow members at some point. Every single one, every single organization member committed some act of betrayal. Lushu is the traitor from Daybreak Town because he was the only one who bears the sigil. The X is in his name, Lushu. Ava doesn't have it in her name. Envy doesn't. Gula doesn't. Ased doesn't. Ira doesn't. Lushu was the one who bore the sigil. He had the X in his name. So to me, he's clearly the traitor that they're talking about. If he's the traitor, then I think this Nightmare Chirithy is his. And he's the one interfacing, not Lushu, but this Nightmare Chirithy is the one interfacing with Sora here because Xigbar was prevalent in Dream Drop Distance. Xigbar was in Sora's dreams. Xigbar was tampering with it. And when you really think about it, like Xehanort was the big bad summoned at the end, but if you really think about who's the villain in Dream Drop Distance, it's Lushu. Who did Xehanort betray? You could say he betrayed Ericus, but if you were to say who he betrayed in the organization, he betrayed them all. he never had good intentions for any of them. It's like Larxene said at her death scene, become that old geezer's empty heart tank? No thanks. Like, he never had anyone's best interest in mind other than his own. And again, as far as the organization goes, you can take that any direction you want, at least in my opinion. The Master straight up called Luxu the traitor. Yeah, in the Union Cross finale. It's very obvious to me. So if he's the traitor, and he was very prevalent in Dream Drop Distance, tampering with Sora, then maybe this is him. This is his Nightmare Chirithy. Here we go. Laura with the counterpoint. Luxu was very naive at this point in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, though. Kingdom Hearts Key. He hadn't been goofy and aloof yet, not until after many lifetimes. So Nightmare Chirithy's personality matching his future self is odd. Unless he's like slowly morphing towards a nightmare. Like, and I think that's why Luxu has this appearance. They're giving him this appearance of like a wounded man, right? He's got a scar on his face, an eye patch covering one eye. He is that naive guy from Union Cross, but he's just been wounded over many lifetimes. This Keyblade War has twisted him, and you can see, again, you can literally see it on his face. His hairs are going gray. He's got an eye patch covering a missing eye, a scar on his face. This whole role is tearing him apart. So I almost feel like that could be showing that he's like tipping further and further towards the nightmare, in a sense. Okay, let's see. Moscar says, just found your channel a couple days ago. You're the GOAT, dude. The GOAT. Xehanort. But yes, dude. Look, thank you for the kind words. Thank you for watching. Happy to have you here, Mo. Okay, let's see. And somehow Luxu definitely knows passages from the Book of Prophecies. Yeah. Yeah. And that's something. Let's see. What if Xigbar is actually Yozora? Dude, all I'll keep tripping up on Yozora is we still don't know what he even looks like. And that's why we don't have... hold on. Let's see. Terra left him that scar, and Terra used the power of darkness on his face. Amen. That's why I think a Luxu versus Terra rematch would be pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Wait, Luxu was forbidden to meddle with other foretellers, but not with anyone else. The Dark Chirithy's acting was to play with people's minds. Yeah, so that's interesting. How often did the Nightmare Chirithy, like, poke at the other foretellers? How often did the Dark Chirithy, or Nightmare Chirithy, excuse me, meddle with the other foretellers? Because that would be interesting if Nightmare Chirithy was used in that way. Interesting, Soup to Carrots. Very interesting. Okie dokie. What if... Wait a minute. Yeah. Dark Chirithy was the one responsible for the bangles that absorbed the darkness. Interesting. That's right. Everyone's already equipped their bangles that absorb the that were given to each wielder. Luxu, speaking opposites, Luxu is probably my favorite Kingdom Hearts character. I have to be honest. He's got me on the edge of my seat. There were multiple Nightmare Chirithys in Union Cross. The one that gave out the bangles, Era captured, and the one that taunted our player. And if Dark Chirithy belonged to any union, any foreteller could have summoned it and identified the traitor in their own union. Yeah, that's how you know that there were multiples meddling, right? Because if there was just one, you could isolate it to one, like you said, to one house, one person. But, you know, someone made that comment earlier about what if Xigbar is Yozora? What if this is supposed to be Yozora's appearance? Because we don't know where Braig came from. Who is Braig? Who was Braig before Luxu got his appearance? I doubt it's Yozora, but it's just interesting to think about. Okay. Yeah, I'd say showdowns between Lushu and Luxord are kind of what I want to see most in Kingdom Hearts 4. I hope that wasn't just a tease for Remind. I hope they're showing us like those two are going to end up rivals in the next arc. What were you doing? Watching. What if Lushu told Ava he's the source of Nightmare Chirithy, and that's what shocked her so much? Closer than you think. Yeah, because this goes into it again, right? Where, like, it's all about finding those loopholes, right? It's all about finding those loopholes. Lushu didn't technically meddle in the way the master told him not to, but if he had a Nightmare Chirithy that could act on his behalf, that would allow him a loophole. I think this is also why he wanted to swap with Brain. I think Lushu is all about finding loopholes. Okay. Seeing how old Luxord looks with KHR graphics makes me wonder if Zigbar would look even older. Oh, I'd love that. Give me a wrinkled Zigbar, bro. Give me the wrinkled Zigbar. I'm in. Okay. I feel like Yuzora's battle with Sora was Yuzora's version of the Door to Darkness. I don't know about that. Unless you mean something different by DTD. See you in another dream. Well, Laurel, that's my thing. The fact that his last words were see you in another dream, right? And then this happens as a result of Sora dreaming. I don't know, man. I don't know. But again, you'd have to thread a connection between Sora and this Nightmare Chirithy. We've kind of been going down the Lushu road for a bit. But once again, what if the Nightmare Chirithy actually belonged to Ventus or Player? Because then again, with Ventus, easy way to string the line between Daybreak Town and here. If it was Ventus or Players, then if you take our theory for any sort of credence or truth, that might explain how this happened too. But that seems to be our three biggest theories, right? We seem to either think maybe it's Ventus, Player, or Lushu's. Also, my thread is ready, but I'll send it whenever you're ready. It'll spark some discussion, but we're hot on other things, and I don't want to interfere. No, throw it in, man. We're already an hour and 40 in, so throw it in, Laurel. We'll pivot. Dream Eater / Nightmares seem to stay in the land of sleep. Yes, but at the same time, the Meow Wow could be summoned in KH3. You know what I'm saying? Ventus's Chirithy is in the final world. Yeah. We covered that a little bit earlier, but yeah, it's why, again, it seems like we've narrowed it down to Ventus, Player, or Lushu. It's got, in my opinion, I think it's got to be one of those three. It's just got to be. Okay. We can keep Little Nightmare Guy up. Let's put him over here. He's just a silly little guy. But yeah, send it over, Laurel. You're gonna send it on Twitch, YouTube, wherever you send it. We will read it. We will read it. Okay. If we take another point of view, Dark Road and World's Rules, the traitor could be the one who respectfully completed his mission. Then Ava. Yeah, Ava could be the traitor, or could be a traitor, but I just don't think in the context of Daybreak Town she's the traitor. I think if you go into the context of Daybreak Town, it's got to be Lushu. Okay, what did I miss? I'm late. How could Ventus's Chirithy be the nightmare one? We're not saying that Ventus's Chirithy is the nightmare. What we're saying is, how did this nightmare, if it is attached to Sora, how did it get from Daybreak Town to Sora's dreams? And that Ventus might be a way that those are threaded. I just hope we see the original Braig in Quadratum, and he's just in a therapy group with all the other people Lushu has possessed. I would honestly love that. Body Snatchers Anonymous. I got to go to my BSA meeting. Yeah, Body Snatchers Anonymous, you know. Got my body takeover. Clearly it was a Chirithy from the guy who said friends aren't his power. Very clearly. It's the only way this happens to you. It's not Ventus, because even in the Age of Fairy Tales, he was said to be a heart of pure light. But hear me out, Robert. Stay with me, Robert. Stay with me, Robert. Okay? Check this out. Check it out, Robbie. I gotta show you something. All right? We covered this earlier. I'm gonna pull it back up just for this point. Darkness is under the impression that Ventus is the child of destiny. And the child of destiny is going to be the vessel for darkness. Now, there's a lot of directions that can be taken, but it's possible they were talking about not just true darkness, but possibly Nightmare Chirithy. And maybe there's Nightmare Chirithy and true darkness have more overlap than we think. But just because Ventus was a heart of pure light does not mean there wasn't a plan for him to harbor darkness, and does not mean that he is not indeed a candidate for the child of destiny. So just wanted to punch that in. Okay. If that theory is true, I'm sure it has something to do with Sora's hidden darkness. Well, that's what everybody's attention seems to be called to. Everyone seems to want to know what's going on with that between Darkseid, the nightmares. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, you did a whole thread. We got a whole thread, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Let's dive into this. Okay. Nice and centered. Perfect. Vader is the child of destiny. I would love it. Let's go like this. Anti-black coat and its connection to another. All right. Let's run that. My intention for the eventual making of this thread was to analyze anti-black coat's attacks and compare it to attacks from two other adversaries in the series, Nightmare Chirithy and Kingdom Hearts Key. Darkseid at the end of Birth by Sleep Final Mix, but I couldn't really find any similarities. However, I did find striking similarities in an entirely different place that I didn't see coming. Bros just hanging out. Clearly friend-shaped and not at all a difficult fight, right? Okay, take a note. Anyway, the first thing I wanted us to take note of, one of anti-black coat's attacks involves using a sword that it manifests. Does it look familiar to you? Oh, keep it going. It looks especially similar to Mysterious Figure / Young Xehanort's daggers. Just a magenta color instead of blue, and the odd symbol across his daggers handle replaced with the nightmare symbol. So boom, boom. After making some slashes with his blade, anti-black coat reverts to a stance very briefly. Now this should look very familiar. Ew. Okay. Same blade stance and non-weapon hand position. Also, cool shot. Interesting. Footage of anti-black coat's sword attack. Keep this in mind for the next GIF. Oh, let's see. Let's compare. Oh my God. Yeah. Look at this one. And then this one. They are similar. We're going to keep this going. Next, here's the second one of anti-black coat's attacks. I wanted to bring up for comparison. Getting hit by these purple arrow pellets produces a poison effect onto the user, whether it's Riku or his partner Dream Eaters. It's the same once again, but purple. Oh my God. I'm going to keep this going. It's the same once again, but purple. And in Dream Drop Distance, Young Xehanort Fight, getting hit also produces a status effect, this being slow, kind of alluding to his time powers. In KH3, this attack returns in Young Xehanort's repertoire, although it freezes instead of slows. What does it mean? Here, let's pull this a little bit more this way. There we go. So what does this mean? We know that Dream Drop Distance had a rushed development cycle, so I suppose it's entirely possible that they reused attacks just for time's sake. But what if not? The latter is probably more likely, because otherwise they could have easily just cut the anti-black coat fight and not much at all would be lost. Regardless of circumstance, after noticing these similarities, my mind immediately went to that Ultimania interview, which says, Riku fights a nightmare wearing a black coat in this world. Just who was that? Nomura. The nightmare was the personification of the nightmare Sora was having. Of course, young Xehanort became a personification of Sora's nightmare. I mean, he was relevant throughout Sora's dream as an outsider of the dream. And well, we saw what happened. As we reach the end of this thread, thanks for reading, and I'll leave the theorizing in other regards to the rest of you and the Lodge. Okay, so, very interesting. I do appreciate that you left room for, listen, it could just be explained by rush development times, you reusing assets, things of the like. But I also think, let's think about this now. And maybe you guys let me know if I'm extracting the wrong point from this. You guys let me know if I'm extracting the wrong point from this. But if we are to assume and move forward with the idea, and let's pull, where's my boy at? Where's my boy at? Let me see. Real quick. Give me a second here. Where did I put that guy? Okay. Oh, it's from the same scene. That's right. That's right. Okay. So let's pull him back up for a second. Let's pull him back up. And like, give me a second here. Let's get our boy back on the screen. Okay. So we've explored a lot of different angles about anti-black coat. But now let's take what Loro just showed us. It's a lot to take in. But I think I should just vomit it out. If this nightmare is connected to young Xehanort, or is connected to Xehanort in general, because it seems like what Loro laid out there, not just with the reuse of the attacks, but even like he said, he brought it really home at the end when they talked about, and let me see, I could actually literally pull that back up. Where's it at? And again, let's retread that, where it's like, young Xehanort really was like the personification of the nightmare he was having. So suddenly, I'm really liking where this is going. But the nightmare is a personification of the nightmare Sora was having. And if the nightmare was connected to young Xehanort, yeah, like Keycaster is saying, Nomura said, we just sort of went over this, but I'll read it out. Nomura said the anti-black coat is the physical manifestation of the nightmare Sora was placed in during Dream Drop Distance. Since young Xehanort is the one that did it, it's no surprise their attacks are similar. And then it makes me think, this is actually kind of nuts. Because Xehanort's heart fell to darkness, right? Obviously. So wouldn't a nightmare in turn be created? All right, Loro's quoting young Xehanort here. Maybe this can help shine some light on this. You really haven't caught on? Or are you just assuming it's all part of your little test? I'm not part of the dream. And if you thought I was, then you're softer than they say. But this will all be over soon. Sleep on and we will meet again. This quote legit sounds like something you'd hear in a nightmare or something. Yeah. And then I guess... Man, I'm a little stumped on it. I'm a little stumped on it in a good way. In a good way. I'm a little stumped on it. You know, I always thought anti-black coat was just Dark Riku because of the fight style. But it wouldn't line up with the nightmare Sora was having. The young Xehanort angle is right. The young Xehanort angle, I believe, is right. Could the nightmare Chirithy be a shapeshifter that takes the form of the dreamer's fear? That's a good question, Starry. That's a good question. And then I guess I would ask is like, who are they facing here? When they morphed into this, who are they facing? Young Xehanort in KH3 when Sora first sees him. I'm so honored you remember me, as if Sora wasn't supposed to remember him. Like a dream, like a nightmare. It's supposed to fade and forget over time. So that's interesting. Wait, is that why Ava could shapeshift? What do you mean? He took form of Xehanort because Xehanort had been haunting Sora's entire dreams. Yeah. And if the nightmare takes shape based on that, then why would Yozora be like part nightmare then, with that red eye? Yeah, you know, soup to carrots. We don't talk about that enough. You're not the visitor I expected. So it's like, yeah, who was he expecting to show up? Going on my line of thinking, if Young Xehanort equals Nightmare, Riku equals Dream Eater, Sora equals Dream, Yozora is something in the middle. So reality instead of what we know as unreality. Yeah, maybe there's something contradicting. Magical Val, yes, you are very late, I'm sad to say, but we're still rolling. Well, we can't forget that Unversed have red eyes. Yes, but aren't they like slits, for lack of a better term? Yeah, their eyes are a little different, though. You know what I mean? When I'm looking at every unversed eyes, they're very slit-like. Whereas nightmares have, like, the big round. Do people still think of as darkness? It already got explained that darkness was tricking Ventus. Yeah, that's how I, at least, was reading into that. That's how I interpreted that. That's why Yozora said he doesn't usually look like that. Yeah! When Yozora says this isn't what I really look like, then that's somebody else's body that's half nightmare. Again, not quite sure what to make of that. You're on the money that it's an evil Dream Eater. Yeah, we're circling the drain, but I can't find the bullseye. You know what I mean? We've talked a lot about this. And I think it's part of what makes Anti-Black Coat pretty cool to talk about. Because, yeah, I feel us circling the drain, but I don't feel the bullseye yet. I don't feel like we've struck bullseye. So less about shape and more about colors. At least as far as the eyes are concerned. Someone took Yozora's body that Sora sees, so that's a body jumper probably in Yozora. But again, that's what's so interesting is that when we flash back to him waking up, like with Luke's sword, he still looks as he does. Maybe Yozora does look somewhat like Sora, and he's only borrowing a friend. Well, this is what I'm thinking, right? At least with Yozora, right? Is if he doesn't really look like that, but it would make sense for him to look like that. Like, that's what's so weird. Is he does look like a dark, edgier Sora. A night sky to Sora's day sky. That's what makes his appearance so peculiar. Could Anti-Black Coat be associated with ancient darkness in a way? Or do we cover that? We did cover that earlier. We explored that angle too. That this could be an ancient darkness or a true darkness. But I think Nightmare is on the money. This is very dream-oriented. It was derived from Sora's dream. The Nightmare took shape. The Nightmare took hold. Like, the language of Nightmare is very deliberate, not darkness. Because remember, Andy, with true darkness and darkness, you get yellow eyes. You know, the eyes will be yellow. Red is for the nightmares. So it's worth exploring, but Yozora does have one red eye. Yeah, Andy, we've been on it. We fully believe there's a nightmare association with Yozora. He's always manifesting in dreams, be it dreaming of Sora or manifesting in Riku's dreams. You know what I'm saying? And again, that red eye, bro, it makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder if by chance there really is another eye under Lushu's eye patch. Laura Bluebell says, to quote the secret reports on YouTube, some people think darkness shapeshifted as Ava, but it's stated repeatedly that darkness gave up their forms, and that they steal bodies and hide within people. Shapeshifting misses the fundamental point that Union Cross emphasizes, that right now, true darkness is shapeless. It's literally smoke. Brain compares it to a child's drawing. Darkness says it's gone unnoticed, not because it's disguising as other characters, rather its appearance is easy to overlook. Yeah, and then that takes me right to the beginning of the KH4 trailer, where Ava's sort of talking about how they've defined darkness. They've given a definition to darkness. Give me a second here. Rather, its appearance is easy to overlook. I forget what that's supposed to be. Anyway, give me a second here. Vanitas had red eyes before he looked like Sora. Wait, really? Wait. Hold on. Artist Joint, thank you for the $2. Vanitas had red eyes before he looked like Sora? Oh, hold on. Let me keep that up. Sorry. Wait a second. Wait. Hold on. No, he just had a helmet on. Yeah, I remember that. I know the helmet, but Vanitas. Oh, let's just look up all Vanitas scenes. See what we can find. No, don't start from... Oh, okay, it's just like an intro. Okay, let's see this. I'm looking. If you know the exact scene where they show him with red eyes, I'd be very interested in seeing that. Because that would radically change everything we're talking about. If that was a missed point. Dude is tripping? I think so. As much as I would love for that to be true. Yeah, and this is where he extracts him. Like, I will say, he has the red motif. But the eyes have always been yellow. I keep searching for it, but I just don't think it's happening here. Did we mention Nightmare Charity's head looks like a coat? Yeah, that's actually kind of what started this, is that when it took on this nightmare form, it gave itself a hood. I explained above. The details from the Birth by Sleep novel that gave Vanitas a backstory scene. The novel is written by the Days writer, so it's possible to be canon. So that's tough because it's not from one of the games. So I'm hesitant to put too much credence in that. So I'll chill on that for now. As for the true darknesses, they are shapeless, but that's at least from the last time we heard from them. I would be curious if any of them are... Oh, man, just such an interesting thing to talk about. That's 100% true about Vanitas. It's in the novel. All right. Let's consider... Oh, this is on backwards. Let's consider if that were true, then that would mean that Vanitas was a knight. I don't know how that would thread. I don't know, guys. I've got to be honest. Anti-Black Coat has me stumped. Yeah, Andy, that's why, because the novels aren't like officially canon, I don't want to put too much stock in them. But I will say, Anti-Black Coat has me stumped. My best guess is still that this is the Nightmare Chirithy. Who's Nightmare Chirithy? Could be players. Could be Ventus's. I just don't know. Yes, Stellar Games. I'm with you that I know about Vanitas and how they're alluding that he's a true darkness. Right? Because that's the thing too, right? That's the thing, because here's the thing. If we take what Union Cross is implying, not Union Cross, if we take what Dark Road is implying, and that Vanitas is a true darkness given form, then again, this explains why they need Sora, because Sora is the one who defined Vanitas. Sora was the one who, in this theory, gives true darkness its form. That's sort of his function. You know what I'm saying? So if that were true... Speaking opposites with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Xehanort believes he's one of the true darknesses. The Snake Boy says it could all be a nothing burger or something burger. That's the thing with Kingdom Hearts. Amen, brother. Amen. Joshua said that you can create Dream Eaters from your own dreams by giving them shape. What if Xehanort created Anti-Black Coat from his own nightmares instead? I love that, Keycaster. There's something about that that clicks. Yeah, if you can create Dream Eaters from your own dreams, why can't you create your own nightmares too? So that's interesting. Because again, this is what I think Sora's superpower is, right? This is that he has the power to make things real. That's why he's been brought to the world of fiction. He has the power to make things real. Ansem the Wise says something like this, right? What's the line? Perhaps he has the power to recreate the hearts and existences of those connected to him, to recreate people that we thought were lost to us forever. So, again, it's like, I almost feel like Sora may be responsible for giving Vanitas a heart. Because we've seen that hearts are something that can grow. So if he gave Vanitas his form and his shape, perhaps what's going on with Vanitas is like the prototype the Master's trying to run. Zigbar eye patch is on the right side. Yazora's red eye is on his left side. Yeah, bro, all I'm going to say, if Zigbar shows himself to have, if Lushu rather shows himself to have a yellow and a red, I'm going to go crazy. Yeah, the Snake Boy says, just the fact they're opposites makes me believe it's more than possible. If you can make Dream Eaters out of dreams, you said nothing, but I think you mean dreams, then you should be able to with nightmares as well, 100%. Think about it. Xehanort could definitely have tons of nightmares, him being taken from his mom, his caretaker dying, his classmates dying. Yes. Amen. He would be just the way Sora was like a heart hotel. Xehanort could be like a nightmare hotel. What if Yozora is the dream and Sora is reality? Well, yeah, right? Because Yozora does have one red eye. The question is he supposed to have blue eyes or is he supposed to have red eyes? You know something? Let's take a look at something real quick here. Oops, let's not do that. Do this. Perfect. Let's see something. One second, chat. Okay. I want to see what color everybody else's eyes are. Hold on. Okay, so we can't really tell from here, but we'll get a better look. Yeah, no, dude, yellow eye, yellow eye, yellow eye, yellow eye. Oh, time out, time out, time the hell out, dog. Hold on. So that would imply darkness. But this is unreality. So so grain of salt. Let me put a little grain of salt here. Whatever color these eyes might be. Little grain of salt. This is unreality. The nature of existence might be different. But that looks yellow to me. Let's see what else, if we could catch anyone else. His look a little bit more uncolored. It's not yellow. He's casting a lighting spell. I see where you're like, it could be a silver eye that the light is filling in. I could see that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's very yellow. Like, I know it could be filled in light, but like, I don't think you could say for certain. That's going to be my opinion. I don't think you could say for certain whether this eye is yellow or silver. And again, I want to sprinkle the salt. Condition upgrade is giving us the salt. Quadratum doesn't have the concepts of light and dark because it's a world of reality to us and Sora. The back of the box of Verum Rex alludes to the light and dark of Quadratum as truth and karma. Very interesting. This is kind of what I mean where I'm saying, like, let's take everything we're doing here with a grain of salt because this is a different reality. Brain has silver black eyes. He does have a similar hat to Brain. Could be a body hop. But let's see if we could see anybody else's eyes. His look blue-green. Let's leave him alone. Let's try and get a closer look. there. Yeah, I'm seeing like a blue-green from him. Let's look a little further. I want to see her eyes again. Without all the light, that is. Okay. Versus the Gigas. There's the blue and red. He has the blue and red here. And she's got like bluish purple. Okay. Okay. So ultimately, just like Stella. She's straight out of Stella. She's got the blue-purple eyes. And I would say that our boy Magia here is our most peculiar case. That's our most peculiar case. I don't think Lord Gogeta, I don't think it's related to Luke's sword. Look at the end of the Verum Rex trailer at the Gigas boxes and their colors. Red, blue, purple. That's 100% deliberate. Let's check it out. Let's see. We'll go to the end. Okay. Let's take it. And maybe we could skip ahead a little bit. Just like this. Here we go. Video game available now. The Gigas. Okay. Let's move this over. Red, purple, blue. Wait. Okay, hold on. I might need a whole other episode to cook on this. But think about it. Red and blue make purple. Am I right about that? I think I'm right about that. Red and blue make purple. Yozora has red and blue eyes. The nameless star has purple eyes. Is there something there? Is there something there? Right? You got red Gigas, blue Gigas. Yozora has the red and blue eyes. And Nameless Star has the purple eyes. And again, we're looking at red, blue, purple, which would be like taking the red, blue, green of Sora, Donald, and Goofy, but flipping out the green for purple. Yes, red and blue make purple. See, I'm not that crazy. Purple is the color of royalty, which is why I think the Nameless Star is a Princess of Heart. Just saying. How do we know Nameless Star has purple eyes? Am I missing something? So she's based on Stella from Versus 13, who clearly has purple eyes. And if we get to this end point, we can get a good look. Like, you can get a good look there. Those are not that's not the same blue Yozora has. That's not the blue that Sora has. That's clearly a very different shade, and I think I see purple. Shout out to, let's see here, we got another super chat from Ruta Chris. It says, theory just came to me. Sora, Yozora, Aozora. You know, so I was thinking if there's possibly going to be a third sky introduced. It makes me wonder if a third sky might be introduced. Yeah, the day sky, the night sky. And let me put that back up. Let me just look into this real quick. Blue sky. That'll be tough. Because you have day sky, night sky. If you were to add a third sky, you would need that overcast kind of sky we saw in the beginning. Twilight sky. Aozora is blue sky, Sora is just sky. Yeah, but my only issue with that is when you think of Sora as sky, you think of the blue sky. Right? You think of the final world, right? A blue sky over some water, Sora and Kairi. Like, come on. So that's sort of my issue with the Aozora angle. Is like, we already have an association with blue sky and Sora. He's got the blue eyes. Final world is very blue. Again, the blue sky with the water, Sora, Kairi. There's already a lot of that strong association with blue. You know what I'm saying? Dusk. Yeah, you see like a dusk sky. Something like that could work. If you were to add a third sky into the mix here, that would be what you have to do. All right. But the other problem is you also have different coinciding skies with different parts of reality. So we'd also have to open up like a third branch of reality for this to work. The steel sky could be starry sky, something. I think there's ways this could. Sora, Kairi, Aozora, Sora, Riku, Yozora. I don't know about land making the sky dark. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Never realized she's wearing gloves because she's royalty. The purple. I'm telling you, bro, she's a Princess of Heart, man. She's a Princess of Heart. I would put my money on it. I'd put my money where my mouth is when it comes to that. All right, look. Listen. I'm having a great time, guys.